Good evening, and welcome to Soluble, America's Political Central. Today is June the 21st in the year of our Lord 2023. And we're going to talk tonight about what can easily be popping up in Democratic circles in the form of distractions. That's a lot of what we have going on here, a lot of noise with nothing to see. In the words of Don Jr., this is a nothing burger. There's nothing to see here. As we know, the president has, been in the news again, making unprecedented ex-presidential history by, coming under indictment, coming under arrest for handling of, classified materials. And since the arrest, since the indictment, photos have surfaced, leaked, or whatever. You have classified material in bathrooms, on the floor, in closets, in just all sorts of places where classified materials shouldn't be. And the Justice Department, the law enforcement systems of checks and balances that we have in place were forced to act. They were forced to act because after you're requesting, politely asking, maybe going so far as to demand that the documents be returned to their rightful place, the former president refused. He ignored it. As a matter of fact, there is footage now, leaked audio and or video where the president is trying to create a situation where, he has people aiding and abetting him in not complying with the turning over of said documents. And so, now it's time for the distraction. I mean, the president has been legitimately charged here. So one of the first things you hear is that it's a double standard now because Hillary walked away. What about Hillary's emails and Dustin? This is all spin, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing to see here. But this is the best that the opposing party can do on behalf of the country. And this is what keeps us bogged down. So Soluble has come forth to, try to bring clarity, try to keep a clear sense of thinking amongst all the white noise, amongst all the static, if you will. Now, we know that during the presidential election of 2016, former FBI Director James Comey came out in the 11th hour. Lest we forget. Came out in the 11th hour and said, "Oh, wait a minute, we've located more emails." Right before the vote, right before the election. Here comes Comey. And lo and behold, in the so-called best interest of the country, he's located more emails. Right? Just when a person had picked up their ballot and was ready to fill it out for Hillary Clinton, he came in the 11th hour with more emails. Coincidentally, ironically, however you want to look at it, more emails were found in the 11th hour. Now, here's where you have to be paying attention. More emails were found. Hillary was already cooperating. She's always cooperated. So more emails were found, according to former FBI Director Comey. And this was, as I said, during the 11th hour, right before the ballots were getting ready to be cast. And so the stunt, in the grand scheme of things, because that's all it was, ladies and gentlemen, was a stunt. The stunt worked. It worked. It took votes away from Hillary. It made people more suspicious of her. And so the vote, however many thousands it might have been, swung the former president's way. Now, you ask yourself, why wasn't Hillary charged? Because as I just said, and listen closely, it was just a stunt. There was nothing there. There never was anything there. Hillary was a target because of her politics, because she was in the opposing party, because she is for all of America, not just a chosen few, not just the rich and famous. Hillary Clinton was for all Americans. And so she became a target of the opposing party. There was never nothing there. So the reason why she wasn't charged, ladies and gentlemen, is just that. It was a stunt. There was nothing there. There was never no reason to charge. So she didn't get charged. Here it was, a stunt to take away votes, to throw the election in the former president's favor. And it worked. And so the reason why, plain and simple, we don't want to complicate this and just let it drag on and on and on. Plain and simple, with finality. And you heard it first here at Soluble. There were no charges forthcoming for Hillary Rodham Clinton because there was never nothing there. It was just a stunt to throw the election in the former president's favor, and it worked. Now, fast forward, 7 years later, here the former president is being charged for something that the country can look at on his face and know that the former president has done. He's an egomaniac on steroids. So yes, you have to give the benefit of the doubt to the system, to the American justice system, that the former president willfully withheld these documents when they were requested, when he was ordered to turn them in to their rightful place in the nation's archives, to the Pentagon, with the CIA. Who knows where these classified documents should have been returned? But he was asked, and he didn't comply in no shape, form, or fashion. So there's a job to do now. There's a job to do. This is not a stunt. This is not something that the Democrats are just going through the motions to take away votes from the president. This is something serious that has been done. So people have to react. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. Sorry for that lighting difficulty there. Where was I? Yes. So the Justice Department had a job to do after requesting that, the president turn in these classified secrets and return them to their rightful place. There was a job to do. There was no stunt here. And so this is the difference. And this is something that the American people ought to or should take careful consideration going into their next election. You see the Republican Party stunting, playing games, playing mind games. It works for them on one hand. They're laughing all the way to the Oval Office. We destroyed Hillary Clinton. She'll never be president again. Former FBI director come out with more emails in the 11th hour, and we destroyed her. Knowing the Republican Party, that is, knowing that there's nothing there. There's nothing there to charge. The charges won't stick. They won't hold up. And now, here you have it. Fast forward 6 to 7 years later, the Democrats are doing their job. And the best that the Republicans can do, when they see that the former president is wrong, is to bring up, well, Hillary wasn't charged, and it's a double standard. This is the biggest BS baloney. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the biggest BS and baloney. It is what it is. So don't be fooled. This is a real voter beware. This is a real voter beware. And so Soluble can only put out factual opinion. We welcome a challenge. We welcome pushback from the other side. We welcome opposing views, differing of opinions. But on its face, as best as we can bring our audience to truth, to understanding about what's going on in today's politics, and when it comes to this particular subject matter here, we're trying to solve here. We're trying to take away confusion, which is what the Republicans want to bring into the equation. They love a confused voter. They love a voter that they can brainwash or use fear mongering in order to gin up a vote. It's in the playbook, and it's alive and well within the party. You see it operating no better than you see it in this situation. So the former president is charged. Former Senator, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was not. Comey was there. He was a Republican operative. He voted for the former president. He was in charge of the FBI. You had the former president in office choosing who was going to work at the Justice Department as the Attorney General, who was going to be director of the FBI. It was all in Republican hands. So you have to ask yourself, my fellow Americans, why wasn't Hillary charged? If there was really some there, and the Republican Party felt that Hillary Rodham Clinton was a clear and present danger, and that she was doing things illegally that were really going to bring the country down or hurt the country. When it comes to America's secrets, top secret classified information, they had all the tools in the toolbox. They had all the weapons in their arsenal to charge Hillary Clinton. So, regardless of what we've stated here tonight at Soluble, because we like our audience to keep an open mind, you have to ask yourself, why wasn't Hillary charged? Why wasn't she charged? When the Republicans had all power, not some, but all power on their side to charge Hillary, bring the facts before the American people, as the system is designed to do, and let her be judged by a jury of her peers and be found innocent or guilty. And so they didn't, because there was nothing there. It was a stunt. The American people went for it. The former president won the Oval Office, and Hillary went off into the sunset, a defeated presidential contender. She bowed out gracefully. Unlike the former president, she called and conceded and congratulated him and wished him well, and being a good leader for the country. All the things that a leader does, she did. And so that's it in a nutshell. There's nothing to see here. There's no double standard. FBI Director Wray is a Trump appointee. The current president who's in the Oval Office, President Biden, hasn't relieved him of his duties. He hasn't asked him to step down. He hasn't asked him to resign. He's left him in place. And the current FBI director is a Trump appointee. So what is the problem? What is the problem? Nothing. You haven't heard a thing about Hillary Clinton and the situation with those emails all those years ago until now. Until the former president has been charged. Now, as I've said, and the title of this broadcast, no distractions. Democrats, we have power. We control 2/3 of the American government. And, we have an agenda to fulfill. Let Republicans fight it out, squabble it out. And they're in trouble now. They've created this Frankenstein of a candidate in the former president. They want him to go away. But they're clueless. So, they speak in hush whispers, um, broken statements here, or they decline to speak at all. If the former president is so upstanding, if he's done a great job, if he's been a great leader, you would think that one of these candidates would have something good to say, at least one out of the many, out of the 8 or so that's already declared that they're in the running to be the next president of the United States. But not one of them can come out and vouch for the president, the former president. But at the same time, even though they can't vouch for his behavior and what he's doing, they won't condemn it at the same time. And these are the candidates, and this is the party that wants to lead the country. Lead us where? Into falsehoods. Here we have, next up, Hunter Biden. Hunter's been charged. He's pled out. Something so simple and petty as a DUI and some kind of a weapons charge. Oh, woe unto us as a nation. Woe, we are really in danger now. We are really under threat of collapse as a government, as a country, because of these charges that Hunter are facing. Surely it must lead from the Oval Office to Hunter's very front door. Come on. This is the best. This is all they have. Are you kidding me? What a waste. What a waste of time and money at the taxpayers' expense. And at Soluble, we've already pointed out to you before the 2020 midterms that if we didn't get out and rock the vote and Republicans had any sort of majority, any sort of control in Washington, that it was going to be investigations and very little legislation. And here it bears itself out. It's Hunter. It's Hunter. It's Hunter. Why are they hunting Hunter instead of legislating? There are still needs that need to be met post-pandemic for the American people. There's still work to be done. But here we are with a party that wants to be in power, wants to have more power, looking, reaching for something that is not there. Now, as we've told you before here at Soluble, and we actually pay close attention to our viewers, to our audience here, nothing on policy. Nothing on policy. The last candidate that we just left off from talking about, Senator Clinton, nothing on policy. Oh, it's emails. It's emails. What about her policy? Fast forward 6 to 7 years later, here we are talking about Hunter Biden and some laptop. That does amount to a hill of beans when it comes to the everyday lives of the American people and the work that really seriously needs to be done in Washington, to get spending under control, for health care, laws that protect children, women, clean air. We're in a serious climate crisis here. And this is the best that the Republicans can do. Go after Hunter Biden. If they can just get Hunter, global warming will go away. Jobs will get better. The job market will be better. Wages will go up while the cost of living remains the same. We'll have a stronger military. China will respect us. Russia will come to its senses on Ukraine. If only we could just find this magic laptop that Hunter Biden mysteriously has tucked away somewhere that's holding America back. That is a danger and a threat to America's ability to thrive and flourish and progress. Let's not be fooled here, ladies and gentlemen. No distractions. And that's what this is. It's a big distraction. Where is the attack on the current president's energy policy? His policy towards veterans, foreign affairs, These are all fair game and they should be on the table. But since they're not, something must be going right here. The current president must be doing something that obviously the Republicans see no wrong. Or they realize that the American public likes it and sees no wrong. They see a president who's trying every day, who's rolling up his sleeves every day, day in and day out, to do his job of keeping America safe, keeping America strong, and doing whatever it takes to help better the lives of the American people, day in and day out. So there's no attack on policy. There hasn't been an attack on Democratic policy in a long time. In a long time. Like I said, we went from Hillary's emails, and now it's Hunter Biden. What kind of attack on policy is this? This is not what a Ronald Reagan Republican does. This is not what a Ronald Reagan Republican looks like. No attack on policy. No attack on the direction that the current president is taking America on. Come out and tell us, make the case. But no. Lo and behold, Hunter Biden is a serious problem. This is the best they got. This is the best they got. So voter beware. Let it tell you. No distractions. No distractions. That the Republican Party, deep down, even though they won't level with you, the American people, deep down they know that they have a president who's in office doing the best that he can for the American people, on behalf of the country and his people. He's doing the best that he can, and he's going in the right direction. And this is what we need to make note of and take note of, because we'll get caught up in these distractions. And if we're not careful as Democratic voters, as this spin cycle goes on and on and on and on, sponsored and played by the Republican Party, and if you hear it long enough, you may just begin to question your own better judgment, your own better decision making when it comes to President Biden. But lo and behold, voter beware. Make no mistake about it. This is all just static background noise. Static and background noise. And, as Democrats, we're going to have to make sure that we hold each and every official of the Democratic stripe accountable. Accountable. We can't afford, for the country's sake, for the future's sake, of keeping our standing in the world. We can't afford to pick and choose. Which politician we want to hold accountable for doing what. We have to hold each and every, unlike the other party, we have to take the high road here. We have to hold each and every Democratic politician, male or female, Asian, Hispanic, Negro, Caucasian, what have you. We have to hold them responsible. When they're wrong, we have to call them out. And either they make amends, make it right, or resign. If we truly love the country and we care about which direction that we're going in as a country. And the reason why I say that, because, here we have another Supreme Court justice, Justice Alito, not giving full disclosure on trips abroad. Trips sponsored by people who may be bringing cases up before the high court. And here's Judge Alito, on lavish fishing trips, jet setting, around the country, possibly around the world, with big spenders who are bringing cases, who have cases, or they have friends that have cases, or they're affiliated with companies that have cases before the high court, and there's no full disclosure. Now, does Jim Jordan care? Does Speaker McCarthy care? No. You can't look the other way on these type of things and then still, claim that you love the country, that everything you're doing is for the betterment of the country. When you have people in your party, people with your same political beliefs, doing unethical things in government, and you're not calling them out unless they have the political affiliation with a D beside their name. Then they're ready to be called out. They need to be hauled before, the judge, jury, and executioner and dealt with. And as Democrats, if we let these kind of distractions continue to distract or to distract at all, then, we're not doing the country, our future, the future of our children. We're not doing it any service, any rightful service here. History is watching. The world is watching. And the Republican Party could care less. They don't know how to fix this broken record. They don't know how to fix this broken record. Here you have a former president who's let his party know, and who's let Americans know, as well as all his voters and people of the same political stripe, that you're gonna get so sick of winning. You're gonna go get so sick of winning, and now, for the sake of the country, he won't even do what's best. He's divided the country. He's tried to take the country back to a place where the rest of the world has long since moved forward from. But here is the former president and all his MAGA genius who is going to do this again. It's already been done. The damage has already been done. So, it is what it is. But if the former president and or Republicans who are contending for the White House really care about the country and the direction that it's going in, then, the former president would bow out gracefully, as, some of his predecessors have done of the same political stripe, i.e. Richard Nixon. Bow out gracefully if you really care and love this country. But here he is, a constitutional menace, creating crisis. And once the crisis is created, then the next step is to go to all his supporters, his donors, and cry out for money. And, sadly, this is, has turned into a great revenue stream for the former president. And because he doesn't care about the country and only cares about himself, he sees nothing wrong with it. He sees nothing wrong with it. Because he's so full of himself. And as we've stated here at Soluble in the past, this is what it's like, for all of those who are old enough to remember Leave It to Beaver. This is Eddie Haskell at his finest. This is what it's like when you put Eddie Haskell in the Oval Office. This is the Eddie Haskell of politics here in the former president. So, the distractions are there. It's up to all Democratic voters, Democratic politicians especially, to stay focused. We chalked up a win here several weeks ago when we weren't on the air. We chalked up a win at the Supreme Court level where, the state of Alabama has to go back and redraw their maps. To include more of what will be surely Democratic voters, to make more of an inclusion there. So we're power sharing, ready or not, believe it or not. And you have to realize that, at first there was Obama. Then came Donald Trump. And then there was soluble, because from President Obama to President Trump, we saw the 2 steps forward and 3 steps back that America took, that we allowed America to take by simply not showing up at the polls. We thought we was making progress. We thought the country had moved on from a time past, from a time, racially segregated, discrimination, racially hate. We thought we had moved past it when former President Obama was elected. But we had to, change that. We had to change that thought, that mind state, when along came President Trump, who we never thought, we would see the day where a presidential candidate could mock patriots, mock war heroes, and former Senator McCain, may he rest in peace, mock the disabled, blatantly lie, encourage violence, and still wind up in the Oval Office. We didn't think that was possible. We didn't think it was possible. So with the coming of these 2 former presidents, one where we thought the country had moved on from a time past, and one who was a stark reminder of where we actually were, of what was still out there for Democratic voters, that 90%, that 90 plus percentile people of color. We begin to see, what it really was. So it went from what we thought it was to what it was. And so now here at Soluble, our goal is to, tell it like it really is. To tell it like it really is. To bring clarity to any given political situation that may have us as Democratic voters confused, distracted. And so that's where we're at here now. How is, the former president, the constitutional menace, the insurrectionist in chief? He's still leading. He's still the leading Republican contender for the White House. So he's relevant, like it or not. Like it or not. And with the way, that our system is set up, it's very possible that he can be commander in chief from behind bars if we don't show up and seal his fate once again. Now, we don't know what we're going to get here if he is the leading vote getter on the Republican side of the aisle. We don't really know what we're going to get if he's the leading vote getter, if he becomes the nominee and we seal his fate once again. Will he admit it this time? Will he call Joe Biden to concede? Or whoever the Democrat is who is running, will he call and concede? It remains to be seen. So, we don't need the former president or the Republican Party to remind us or show us again, if you will, who they are. We've already seen it. Believe it. And know that, you have to show up when election day comes. You have to show up. You have to be ready. You have so many ways to do it. Absentee, vote by mail, early voting. You have so many ways to do it. So, we're encouraging each and every Democratic voter to find your convenience. For me, early voting works. Early voting works for me. So we encourage all of our Democratic voters to find your convenience, if you will. And we have work to do to move this country forward for all, not some, but all Americans. Whether you're native born, whether you're immigrant, we're a nation of immigrants. We welcome immigrants. So, in order to make this country work for all in the most peaceable way possible, that moves us forward as a nation in all areas, in all facets of life, our view here is Soluble, and we're here to solve. There's no biasness here. We simply, tell it like it is. And your political leanings are your political leanings. What we're trying to do here, as always, is to sort out fact from fiction, call balls and strikes, however they may come at us towards the plate, and let you make the decision. But that's what it is, plain and simple, ladies and gentlemen, with this distraction that we have going on right now. There's no biases in the FBI or the Justice Department. But this is what a desperate party that has no answers, they can't come forward with policy agendas that tell us how they will move the nation forward. They have none. It's the same wash, rinse, and repeat. That doesn't work. Trickle down economics, compassionate conservatism. We've seen it all before. It's practically bankrupted the nation before. And so, policy issues be damned, because they can't come out and confront the president on policy issues in a legitimate way. Crisis creators. This is what this party is doing, creating crisis in order to do what? Fill you with fear, to scare you that the only way forward for you, as far as being protected in America, to protect you economically, protect your bank account, protect you from foreign adversaries, is to vote Republican. And nothing could be further than the truth. The current Democratic president who is in office now has been seated almost 4 years. Are we under foreign attack? Have we been attacked by a foreign power? So, let's look at it for what it is. Do your own fact finding. It took a Democratic president to go and find Osama bin Laden and hold him accountable for September 11th. It took a Democratic president to do that. When the former Republican president, whose watch the attack happened under, was asked, his reply was, I don't think about it much these days. So, lest we forget, voter beware of any distractions. There was a Democratic president once by the name of Barack Obama who took it upon himself to take on the task of finding the chief perpetrator of the 9/11 attacks. And this president happened to be a Democrat, accused of being Muslim, accused of, not being a natural born citizen. But he did nothing from the time he became president but roll up his sleeves and get to work on behalf of the American people. So, we'll let it go forward, and it remains to be seen. But investigation after investigation after investigation that leads to what? Nothing. That leads to where? Nowhere. So we talk about adding on to the deficit. We talk about bringing, deficit spending under control. What does this do when it wastes taxpayers' money in this way? And they're study digging. How insidious does this look? Even for the opposing party, we as Democrats, we have to look on this with somewhat sympathy, that this party and these politicians of Republican stripe are this desperate. As I said, Hunter's come out, he's cooperated, he's played out, he's admitted to his wrongdoings on these charges. If they had something else to charge him on, they would have. They would have. And, if you have someone of Republican affiliation who has more, who has the goods on Hunter, that shows that, from him all the way up to the Oval Office, there's a bad connection here. There's corruption here. There's something sinister going on here between him and his father. If you have it, bring it forward. But what? Nothing. FBI Director Wray hasn't said anything to the contrary. He hasn't come out and said that, well, Hunter got a sweetheart deal. Hunter got away with a lot of things. He hasn't said anything. And so since the current FBI director hasn't said anything, he has to go. He has to go. This is what you hear, one of the candidates for president in Governor DeSantis out of Florida. This is what you hear him saying. That when he becomes president, this is one of the first things he's going to do. What has the man done? In that man being FBI Director Christopher Wray, what has he done? Or what is he not done? So you heard it first here at Sawyer. Here we are in a day and age, a day and time where you have a man faithfully carrying out his duties. He has a family. He has a wife and children to be accountable to and for. Rolls up his sleeves, goes to work every day, doing his job faithfully, serving law enforcement and serving his country. So, to the country on a whole, but Democratic voters in particular, look at the distraction here. The Republicans want FBI Director Wray out of office because of what he's not doing. How can that be? Usually, you're forced out of office for more than likely for something that you're doing. Now, it's not unheard of. It's not, to say that it's never happened before where somebody has been relieved of their duties because of something that they wasn't doing. That's not unheard of. It's happened. It's common. But in this particular situation, what is it that the current FBI director is not doing? Vouching for lies coming from the Republican side of the aisle. House member Jim Jordan, he's held hearings. He's held these hearings bringing forth whistleblowers who are going to prove that there's biases in the FBI towards Republicans. And it hasn't panned out to anything. So you heard it first here at Soluble, and now you see it bearing itself out. Here we have investigation after investigation that turns up nothing. Now, you would think that Republican politicians in positions of power, whether it be in the Senate or the House, will start to come out against Democratic policy in any given area. But they can't. They won't. They don't. Because everything is going good. The president has taken this vast economy, this vast beast of a machine, which is the American economic engine, and fine-tuned it. Is there still work to be done? As I said, the president has his sleeves rolled up, and he's doing so. He's doing so every day, day in and day out. The president is doing his due diligence to serve not himself, but the American people. And this is a refreshing change from what we've had, from the previous president. And it would help a lot, it would be wrong for me to turn loose, something that's causing pain, something that is causing fear, terror, mental anguish, and not take it away, not be able to say, okay, I put this out there, I caused this, and it's causing pain and suffering in the human race. So let me take it away. Let me, take something that I thought was good, someone that I thought would be good for the American people, for American government, and it didn't work. So what I thought was good is now bad. So let me take it away. And we can't even get this from Republican officials. They see the former president is corrupt. They see that he's the grifter in chief. They see this, that he doesn't care. General Kelly seen it in the last administration when he was over on foreign soil and didn't want to go out and have a kind word to say, or whether it be a photo op, a kind word to say at the graves of American soldiers who died on foreign soil fighting for freedom. And these are the candidates. This is the party. These are the people that are asking you, the American people, to entrust them with the levers of power for 4 years. They're asking for your trust with these levels of power when they can't even hold accountable a member of their own party who's run amok. Who's run amok? Why? The spine of the Republican Party has really seriously been challenged. The day of the Ronald Reagan Republican seems to be extinct. It seems to have went the way of the dinosaur. And so, this is the current state that we find ourselves in. Distraction after distraction is what this is. Hunter Biden, a distraction. The president willfully holding on to classified documents, a distraction. As Democrats, we know what we have to do, and we have to keep our foot on the gas, doing the work, handling the business of everyday working Americans. What we voted them into office for is up to us as voters still, because we are the people. It's up to us to push the agenda. Don't worry about the titles. Don't worry about the name calling. It's in the Republican playbook. It shouldn't be something that hurts your feelings, catches you off guard. The name calling, the woke mob, the radical left, the deep state. This is just fear mongering at its best. And as I've said, sadly, it's a part of the Republican playbook. They don't know anything else. They don't know anything else. They don't know anything new. And it's because, excuse me, and listen real close, it's because the American voter, Republican and or independent voters in particular, keep going for it. They keep going for the fear mongering, the lies. And now, the best that Republicans can do when they've had all the power on their side, willing accomplices to prosecute former Senator Hillary Clinton, former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. They had all the tools in the toolbox at their disposal to prosecute. And they didn't. They chose not to. And in most cases, when it comes to prosecution at the federal level, if they're not prosecuting, it's because there's no there. And they know it's going to be a waste of time and money. And good stewards of the American justice system will not do a disservice to the American taxpayer by holding a trial or bringing people up on Capitol Hill to testify when they know that the case is going nowhere. And that's what's happened here. So the Democrats are doing their job. They have no other choice. The former president has put the Justice Department in a corner to say whether they're going to either prosecute or they're going to be deemed weak and afraid of the former president. And for the first time in American history, you're going to have someone who's above the law. And everybody else is beneath it, except for this one person. No, that's unheard of. So they had a job to do. They done it. The former president was charged. And the best now that you can get out of Republican politicians is that Hillary Clinton got away with it, and now they're going after the president, and it's unfair. It's bias. It's because they think you're stupid. They think you can't remember, what's happened from one year to the next. That's what they're relying upon. And then as the American people, should take note, how really, foolish all these politicians who make up the Republican stripe, to think that we're not noticing that if you had something on Hillary Clinton, why didn't you prosecute her? You had all the people in place. You had the Oval Office, you had the House, you had the Senate. When the former president took office in 2016. And that's it in a nutshell. They think that they can continue to bring these distractions forward because you're too ignorant to remember what happened from day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. So they can run it back and say that it's unfair, it's biasness. Republicans are targeted. For what? Why are you targeted? If you're doing what the voters have sent you to Washington, D.C. to do, why would you be targeted? And so this is, the last act of a desperate party. This is the last act of a desperate party. The numbers are not there. The voting demographic is changing on a regular basis. Why can't the Republican Party change with them? That's our mission here at Soluble. That's our goal, is to bring this party to bear, hold their feet to the fire when it comes to truth, when it comes to being on the level with the American people. If you're going to go after corruption in government, it should not have anything to do with party affiliation, political affiliation. It shouldn't matter. Wrong is wrong and right is right. And if the Republican Party truly believes this, then, they will do the right thing. Whether it's, Supreme Court justices, whether it's former presidents, whether it's a Democrat, independent, whether it's a Republican, they will do the right thing when it comes to integrity in government. We are the envy of the world as a free nation, a truly blessed nation. We are a truly blessed nation. And so, honesty should matter. Integrity in government should matter. And, as the voting electorate, the voting populace, if you will, who really controls and has a say on how American government is run and by who is run, we should be paying attention here. We should truly be paying attention to these distractions because there are more to come. There are more to come. And our goal here at Soluble is to keep you informed, pointing out fact from fiction so that you're in the know. Because when you're in the know, you're a more informed voter. And you're more than likely to vote not just along party lines first, but who is the best person for the job. If the Republicans, they bring forth a candidate other than the former president, I'm quite sure that they're going to have the attention and the wherewithal, if you will, to put forth a message that might interest some Democratic voter who's willing to cross the aisle, some independent voter who's willing to cross over. So it remains to be seen. We're here for what's in the best interest of the country. We staunchly believe that that's Democrats, but at the same time, it remains to be seen. Can the Republicans put forth a candidate? who's talking with sense, who's reasonable to the direction that America's going in the new 21st century? Or is it the same old spin, the same old fear that we're seeing here now? So, in closing, we adamantly stand by our position that these are distractions, these are stunts that are put forth to confuse you. As they have worked in the past, it's up to us as Democrats to make sure that they don't work going forward. To come out very vocally on policy, where we stand, what we stand for. Just as vocally as the Republicans come out with false innuendo and lies and things that are not factual. We have to call them on it. We have to consult the fact checkers to make sure that we have right on our side. Now, we see where, the country took a serious hit, took a serious step back, to the point where nations around the world who have always respected America all of a sudden wanted to know what's going on in America when we had the former president in office. And, really, to go from something like classified documents. This is serious. This is serious business. And we all should, come out in defense of the nation's secrets and what's best for America. But, when you have the American justice system coming out on the former president, when it comes to something about hush money being paid to a porn star, this should be embarrassing for all of us, regardless of political stripe. This is something that should be handled behind closed doors between the concerned parties. But no, it's brought out for all of the world to see and for all of us as Americans to have to deal with. And it's an embarrassment. It's egg on the face of each and every individual American who cares, who knows that, the Oval Office and the office of presidency should be something that is of the utmost sacredness and demands the highest level of protocol be followed. So we have a standing. And we've been voted into power as Democrats with an agenda. We have to move forward on it. Don't get distracted by the static, by the white noise that is coming from the right, because that's all it is. There's no there. If there was biasness in the FBI or in the American criminal justice system, the facts would have bared it out by now. As I said, Congressman Jordan, he has the hearings going on. What? When? Where? Right now, there's nothing. Right now, there's nothing. And opposition here at Soluble, we're going to be, utterly surprised if there is something. If there is something. We've seen the 11th hour stunt from former FBI Director Comey. How much more do we need to see before we realize that that's all this is? While we're out here trying to make our lives better, keep America standing in the world. Here you have a party that's stunting, lying, playing head games, mind games, anything to achieve power, to regain power into the Oval Office. So lest we forget, we know that the playing field is more level now with Democrats in power, and it remains to be seen. If our leaders step out of line, if they get out of line, then it's going to be up to us, the American people, to tell it like it is, call it where we see it, and, support whatever system of checks and balances that we have in place to deal with any corruption, any potential illegal, unethical dealings or doings that's going on in government to, bring it to a stop. Because it serves no purpose for the American people and for America's reputation and standing in the world. So distractions. We can move past it. We must move past it and be prepared for the upcoming election. It's right around the corner. We're here less than 8 months before the Iowa caucuses. We're here less than 4 months away from the first Republican convention, where it's going to be interesting to see what plan, what agenda they have going forward for America. And right now, the front runner is the former president, and we've seen this movie before. So let's get ready to rock the vote again. Our goal and our mission here at Soluble is to keep you informed, bring you all relevant facts, all daily happenings that are meant to mislead. We're here to, if it's went too far left, we're here to bring it back to the center. If it's went too far right, we're here to bring it back to the center. So you can get true understanding of what's happening today in politics and not be misled, so that on election day, you will be able to make that informed decision on who you think is best for the country as a whole. And that's you, me, him, her, no matter what race, creed, color, for all Americans. We want Democrats in office because we feel that then, even Republicans are safe. Even Republicans can feel comfortable moving forward more with Democrats in control than, we can with Republicans in control. We've seen the last two administrations. Former President Bush, former President Trump. Look at them both. Look how they began. Look how they ended. They ended with presidents who were clueless as to what to do. One on the economy, one on a pandemic that spread around the world. So has anything changed? It remains to be seen. As I said, we're less than 4 months from the first Republican convention, where the contenders, the nominees, will come out and make their case for why they should be the next commander-in-chief. And so, it remains to be seen. But our mission here at Soluble is to keep you informed, keep you in tune as to, what's being said, and does it coincide with what's being done? Is what's being said now here in the present? How does it coincide, or does it go hand in hand with deeds or acts that's been done in the past? We're here to bring it all to you so that, there's no misconceptions. There's no wandering, if you will, as to who said what, why, and or, to go through this huge mind game of, who is the best man for this job. Our goal here is to help you make a more informed decision in politics. And we're constantly looking for that solution. We're not biased towards Republicans, although we are staunchly in the Democratic corner. As I said, if they have a viable candidate, a candidate that we feel like, has America's best interest in mind, then we will speak on behalf of that. We will speak out on it in a positive way anytime we see it. But yet, right now, it remains to be seen, because you have each and every candidate that's vying for political office from the Republican side right now are saying in some overt, covert, indirect, direct way that the system is biased towards Republicans. And nothing could be further than the truth, when they had every opportunity to prosecute if something was there. But they didn't prosecute. So you have to understand the obvious. We thank you for joining us for this podcast tonight. No distractions. Stay informed. As always, if there's spin going on, if there's confusion in politics that's going on, our goal here at Soluble is to bring the darkness into the light so that you can make a better informed decision, not just in the election that's upcoming, but elections throughout the future. What's best for America? That's what, our interest here at Soluble is in, for all Americans, for the country on a whole and the people in the country. We plan to speak truth to power here at Soluble. Thank you for joining us. Until the next time, this is Soluble signing off, saying good night and God bless. Thank you.